There we go. We are live. Hello, everybody. Just getting everything set up today. Let us know where you're coming from in the chat. Happy Thursday. Excuse me. There we go. Oh, now they're rolling in. Fantastic. Welcome, everybody. Here we are, April 1st already. Guys, I don't know what's happened to time, but it's just been wild. Let us know where you're coming from in the chat. Please say hello. As well, please, when you are in the chat, make sure to turn it to all panelists, all attendees. This way you can actually see all the great folks who are joining us, any great questions that are coming out. Fantastic guests joining us here today. Hello, Virginia, New Jersey, Oklahoma, Toronto. We've had a weird day. It was gray, it was sunny, and then it went gray. Now it's sunny again. You can't make up its mind here. Oh, well. Hello, North York. Welcome. Hopefully everybody's ready for a bit of a long weekend. Excited to have a little bit of time off tomorrow. It worked out well in my favor. It's my husband's birthday tomorrow. Hello, hello. Welcome everybody. Hawaii, Calgary, Aurora. Great to have all you folks joining us today. I'm excited. 2 or 3 minutes, we'll get started. If you've never been with us before, a couple of options you have. There's your Q&A. Please pop any questions for our special guest in there or for us. It's just helpful for us so we don't miss anything in the chat. As well, if you're looking for closed captions, please go ahead and turn on the CC button for yourself. Thank you very much, by the way. I will tell him. So he's also looking forward to having a couple of extra hours, off. It doesn't hurt every now and then, right? So. Ms. Kaya just posted, if you want to stay up to date with us, please check out our Instagram. That's one great place. If you're part of our Facebook group, please, if you're not, please join us. We'd love to have you in our Circle Time group. It's a fantastic community, just like joining us here today. Love to have you on. Make sure that you answer all the questions, folks. We want to make the community safe. We want to keep it a safe place so that folks don't, we want you guys to feel comfortable. So please do answer those questions. Hello, Alaska. You emailed me earlier. See, I do notice some things, guys. Some days I've got it together. Other days, well, you just do your best you can. It's all right, though. Hopefully everyone's doing well. 2 minutes here, and then we're going to get started. I'm very excited for today. I can't believe it's April 1st already, guys. I don't know what happened, but I don't know what happened or where time went. So hello, Florida, Illinois, California. All right. Let's give you guys a minute or two more and we'll get settled in. Very true. Folks, as always, our session is being recorded and we're going to make that accessible to you guys next week just because it is a holiday tomorrow. So please, just as a reminder, everything will get sent out next week. So show notes, certificate, slides, everything is going to be sent out to you guys next week, not tomorrow, which is our typical. So just as a heads up, I will remind you though throughout the webinar today. Hello, Windsor. Hello, New Hampshire. Welcome. Happy Thursday, everybody. April 1. I don't know if anybody had a good prank from today. No worries, Joan. If you have to, this is why we record, my dear. Not a problem. Hello, Las Vegas. Let's give you guys a minute or two more just to settle in. I've noticed an spike in everybody joining us. I want to just give you guys a second to do so. Chicago, Texas, Niagara Falls, welcome. Near Chicago as well. Hopefully it's not too cold down there. We're getting warmer. That's for sure. Hello, Florida, Ottawa. Your son pranked you early in the morning. I'd have to say I was very lucky. I did not get pranked myself. I was part of a great prank here at Hi Mama. Harmless fun. We just did a little bit of fun to our director of marketing and the communication app that we use to communicate as a company. We all decided to just change up our profile pictures to his profile picture, and he thought he was seeing more than one, and definitely maybe freaked him out a little bit. But on the same side, it was fantastic to have a little bit of fun this morning and just have a good laugh. So hopefully everyone else got a good laugh, and no harm though, no harm in any of those pranks. So hello, Texas, BC, Washington. Oregon, out Saskatchewan way. All right, one more minute, folks, and we are going to get started. No pranks for yourself. Oh, but a family wedding and anniversary. Congratulations. That's fantastic. All right, we're going to get into it here, folks. Want to be conscious of everybody's time. Make sure that everyone gets in and out accordingly. So one more minute and let's get going. Hello, Vancouver. Currently snowing out your way. Oh, wow. Not in the Vancouver, guys. Sorry, I was reading more than one comment at a time. My apologies. Hello, Virginia. Spring break out your way. We've had our traditional spring break here in Ontario is mid-March and got postponed this year. It's supposed to be mid-April now. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. Hello, Indiana. All right. Folks, let's get started. Very excited for today. Welcome. If you're just joining us, please let us know where you're coming from in the chat. Please make sure to change your chat to all panelists, all attendees. This way folks can A, see where you're coming from, and B, see any great questions. You never know, someone might have the same question as you. Let's get talking a little bit more about building independence at home. But before we do, as always, if you've never joined us before, just know that I am not the face, or any of our guests or Kaya and myself, like I said, we are not the face of legal or financial or medical advice. The idea here is we want you guys to take away great tips, tricks, techniques, things that you can implement within your classroom that are easygoing, as well as if you are looking for any, anything you need, make sure you're consulting the right people, whether that be licensing advisor, representative, whether that be, a financial advisor, legal advisor, anybody like that, make sure that you are consulting with the right people. Okay. It's always helpful. We're going to pop in here just to give a quick listen to our land acknowledgement.
Hi Mama acknowledges that our main headquarters is situated in Toronto, Ontario, on the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, and the Haudenosaunee and the Wendat peoples, and is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis peoples. Toronto itself is a word that originates from the Mohawk word takaranto, meaning the place in the water where the trees are standing. As participants and guests in today's webinar, we are coming together from many different places around the world. We encourage you to learn about and acknowledge the land from which you participate.
And then we're just going to give a quick listen to our diversity and inclusion here.
Hi Mama is committed to fostering an inclusive and welcoming environment for our employees, customers, and community. Hi Mama welcomes and celebrates individuals of all backgrounds, orientations, and identities. Our Diversity, Inclusion, and Belonging Committee aims to ensure we provide a safe environment for everyone to thrive while bringing their authentic selves to work. Our mission is to promote an inclusive workspace for all employees through education, discussion, and celebration of our differences. Embracing these differences while coming together with a common purpose is what makes our team extra special.
Couple of housekeeping pieces for today, folks, and one of them is definitely very important. So please, 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 as always, the session is fully recorded. So if you do have to duck out, I know a couple of you have said that you may have to, you're on and off the floor, totally understand. Please know that you can watch the recording later. So if you do have to duck out, sorry to see you go, but like I said, we understand. If you'd like closed captions, there is the CC tab for you to turn on so that this way you have that available and to know we are recording with it on as well. Next up, if you are looking for the certificate, the show notes, the slides, everything recording, it will be sent out next week, as tomorrow is a bit of a holiday. I shouldn't say it really is a holiday. At least here in Ontario it is. I know some places, some people do work tomorrow. They have the options, but we're off tomorrow. So please do keep an eye out for your show notes next week. I will be sending them out to you. So if you aren't able to get your certificate today, I will be sending it out next week. Okay. Last up, if you're having any troubles with your connection, please do seek help at support.zoom.us. They're the best people. They know that their product inside and out. They're the best people, I should say, to help you with what's going on with Zoom. So please, 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 if you do need help, reach on out to them. Everything should be good, hopefully. Though for you folks, if you've never been with us before, I'm Ria. I'm one of the community ambassadors here at Hi Mama, and I'm also a registered early childhood educator. Been with Hi Mama for about 3 years now, and I already kind of give away my fun fact. It's my husband's birthday tomorrow, so we're celebrating him and I together. So it'll be really nice to just have a quiet day and be in. Hopefully, we'll have some nice weather. Maybe get a nice walk in. On the other side of the chat is my colleague Kaya. Kaya, get on here. Our social media specialist expert. I want to say you're both in my eyes, at least. So joining us here, Kaya, fun fact for today, or?
Fun fact, it was my birthday on Tuesday, so I was really happy to have a better birthday this year than last year. So that was amazing for me. And I'm just hanging out on Facebook right now. I'm gonna pop the link to join our Facebook. If you do want to join it, just click that link and come hang out with us in Facebook. And we're gonna have Stacey on after, so hope to see you there. And thank you all for the birthday wishes.
There's lots of people with birthdays. This is so nice. Yes, folks, please do join us afterwards. If you haven't, please do come on. We'll take some great questions there with Stacey if we aren't able to get them in today. So speaking of our special guest for today, I'm going to welcome her on. We have Stacey Band coming from Home Day Hero. I always want to say Home Daycare Hero. I'm so sorry, but I see that. I don't know why, but it happens. You're here with us. I'm excited to have you. Maybe Stacey, before you jump in and deliver up some great content that I've had the opportunity to see and know what's coming up, but maybe tell us a little bit about you and a little bit more about Home Day Hero.
Sure, absolutely. Ria, thank you so much for introducing me. And Kaya, thank you so much for helping me make my way to this process as well. Hi, everybody. My name is Stacey Band, and I'm joining you from Maryland, just about a stone's throw from Washington, D.C. Fun fact for today, it is actually spring here in Maryland, Washington, D.C. area. And it is the peak for the cherry blossoms, probably yesterday because it did rain overnight, so lots of those little petals fell to the ground. So cherry blossom season is a pretty big thing out here, and it's pretty beautiful. So that's a little fun fact for you. So a little bit about me. I am originally from Michigan. I've been in the DC metro area for about 12 years. My background is in child development and public administration, and I also have a certificate in Montessori education. And so a lot of the work that I do with children is based upon my training and my experience working in a Montessori school. And what I did when I was there is everything under the sun, as many of you probably do as well. When I first started working at the Montessori school in Washington, D.C., I was an intern, and over the course of time, I worked my way up through, each of the positions that were available. And when I left, I was actually the assistant head of school, and I had been in that position for about 3 years. I worked through the accreditation process with them, worked through expansions, staff turnover, staff trainings, so on and so forth. And so it was an incredible experience. And something I realized was the things that I was teaching children within those four walls, and the things that I was working with parents on improving within that school community, I could actually bring to more people. And so what I did is I started writing. I wrote about all of the hot topics from parent-teacher conferences and used that as my launching board. And now I do have almost 70 articles that are free and just readily available on my website, which is listed on this first slide here. And so Home Day Hero offers a wide variety of products and services, and they're all focused around helping adults connect with children. It doesn't matter whether you are the parent, the grandparent, the caretaker, the teacher. It doesn't matter what your role is. The fact is that you are important to a child. And so the goal is to identify ways to connect with those children and have a meaningful relationship and interactions with them. And so a lot of the work that Home Day Hero does speaks exactly to that. Ria, could you get us the next slide?
Fantastic. I'll let you take it from here, Stacey. So if you need anything, please don't be shy. And folks, you were getting a lot of love already in the chat, just so you know, Stacey. So enjoy.
Gosh, I closed the chat because I don't want to be distracted. So I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
All right.
All right. So some takeaways for today, and I have really slimmed it down to these four, and I will expound, as we go through the presentation. So young children are capable. Now, it's interesting because people, and I don't know about everybody out there, but people do sometimes say, oh, well, she's just a baby, or, oh, he doesn't know. But what if he does know? And what if, yes, she is a baby, but she is capable of holding a bottle or is capable of holding a spoon? And so just recognizing that young children are capable, and it's really just a matter of figuring out what is the best way to approach, explain, and present whatever the topic or subject is to make it so that the child can be capable. So we'll talk quite a bit about that today. Children desire power and opportunities to be independent. And for everyone that works with children, I'm sure you know that children love opportunities to lead. Now, not all children, because children are different, but many children do really like the opportunity to make a choice on behalf of the group, or choose the next song, or decide what activity the group will do next, or share their ideas, even just at circle time. So adults can provide children with age-appropriate responsibilities. And this is a huge one because children are capable. It's just a matter of how it's presented to them. So if we are able to present responsibilities in ways that are appropriate for their age, then they will be able to do more. And that's something that you can use as a foundation. You build upon that. And then, of course, the last one, which might be the most important, is adult observations are key. Because here's the thing. If you know the child and you know the environment, then you will be able to provide that child with the best possible experience. So, Ria, could you get us the next slide? Thank you so much. So, key characteristics. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk a bit about those key characteristics that do promote independence within a space. So I know here in the DC metro area, things have been quite different because of the pandemic here in the States and worldwide. And so as a result, there have not been, parent-teacher conferences in person. There have not been parenting seminars in person, like parent nights for education purposes. And so a lot of parents have their children in their homes for much longer periods of time than perhaps usually would be the case, because usually a child would be at home for maybe an hour in the morning after wake up, and they would go to, school or their daycare program for the day. And then they would be home in the evening for a period of time, maybe 3 to 4 hours or so before bedtime. And so now families are being faced with this conundrum that, well, I only had, this one shelf of toys for my child in our space, or I wasn't used to providing all this, different kinds of entertainment over the course of these longer periods of time. And so the key thing is figuring out what does a space look like and what is possible in that space. So in the Montessori world, we go for shelves that are low. And the reason why we go for shelves that are low is because they are accessible. And the idea is that if a child is to be accessing the things that are on that shelf or in a space, it's because it's safe and it's not a hazard. And so even in my own home, we've got that cabinet right underneath the sink. There are no chemicals in there because I want to know that if my child, my 2-year-old, goes to open that cabinet, it's not going to be a hazard for him. And so just knowing who you have in your space and what you can do to promote independence in that space in a way that is safe. And then, of course, belongings have a designated place. So one of the things that I absolutely love, maybe it's my type A personality, I don't know, but having a set space for things provides a general sense of order and calm. So when my children come home from being outside of the house, they know that their masks have a place to go. Their dirty mask has a place to go. Their coat has a place to go. Their shoes have a spot. There's a place where they can sit to take off all of these things. There's a place for their bag. And so it's this idea that you're coming into the space and you're settling in. And so just knowing that everything has its own special spot promotes independence within itself. Next slide, please. All right, so engaging young minds. Now, these are some of my tips and tricks, also coming from the Montessori world, is whatever activities you can provide or whatever activities you are thinking of providing, you want to think about some key components. Does it promote concentration? Does it encourage the idea of coordination, hand-eye coordination? Does it involve balancing on one foot? What does it involve coordination-wise? Does it promote the independence that you're looking to develop? And does it reflect a sense of order? So, and by order, I mean, is there a way that things need to be done? You know, is there a first step and then after that? And how does it go? And so just thinking about how many steps do the activities you're offering involve? And what does that look like? Is it developmentally appropriate? Is it age appropriate? And will the child stick with it? Do they have the attention span for the steps? And then points of interest. Points of interest is huge. So I was having a conversation with a friend that was talking to me about how their child had lost interest in taking a bath, and that their child was really not interested in coming into the bathroom to use the tub, or that whole getting ready for bed routine. And so what I said was, have you ever used bubbles in the bath? And she said, no. And I said, why don't you try just taking a little bit of bubble bath and allowing the child to use a small fork and just whip up some bubbles. And then the child can take those bubbles and add them to the bathtub. That will be the point of interest. And then she'll be interested in taking a bath. And it worked. And so just the idea of what small thing can you introduce to bring interest to something new, something old, or something that the child might not be interested in, but the point of interest can actually pull them in. And then the last one is controls of error. Controls of error are really important when a child is working on something that is mainly academic, I would say. But a control of error would be something like if there's a box of puzzles and the puzzles have 4 smaller puzzles within that box. I know there are a lot of different companies that offer that. So anyways, so let's say it's transportation. You've got your bus, your truck, your plane, your train, okay? 4 different kinds of puzzles. And when you turn those pieces over, there's no way of knowing which piece goes with which set. They're just all mixed up. So what I love to do is draw a shape on the back of each set. So you've got your square, your rectangle, your triangle, and your circle. And so that way, the control of error is if the pieces are to be turned over, and you're working on figuring out which pieces go with which set, it's very easy for the child to identify, okay, all of the circle pieces go with the car set. And so then it's much easier for the child to work through what might be a frustrating activity because there are so many pieces. And so being able to isolate the puzzle pieces that do have that circle on the back make a large activity into a smaller, more manageable activity where the child can see the controls of error for themselves. Next slide, please. All right, so I bet you're wondering, what are some of the easiest things to implement? And I would say that the easiest things to implement are these 2 areas. And the reason why is because most people have these kinds of activities available in their homes, practical life and sensory based. And if this isn't a suggestion for parents, then it could be for childcare providers. Whatever situation you're in, this information would be relevant. And so practical life-based is really based upon anything related to everyday needs or skills. And so it could be something as easy as hairbrushing. It could be something as big as helping prepare a whole meal. And the cool thing is you get to decide what that experience looks like. And sensory based is really all about the senses. So it could be something as simple as sorting by color, sorting by shape. It could be identifying different smells. What smells like, what does this smell like? Oh, vanilla. What does this smell like? Oh, it smells like cinnamon. You know, so appealing to the senses. Children love things that appeal to the senses. I know one of the favorite activities we used to do in the classroom was a mystery bag of little instruments. And so the children would close their eyes and listen, and I would play an instrument, and then they would raise their hand, and I'd call on the child, and they would share, you know, what instrument it is that they heard. And then everyone would open their eyes to see if it was indeed the exact instrument they'd been thinking of. And so I think as educators, we've always been called upon to think out of the box, to be creative, to use what we have. And so the odd sort of thing about the situation that our society is in right now is that teachers, in a lot of ways, are oddly already prepared, because already prepared in a lot of ways, not always. Um, and so as a result, it makes it as such that you can create activities with what you have. And so one of the things that I oftentimes share with the families that I work with is you don't necessarily have to go out and buy a whole bunch of new toys, new activities, new things to do. You have to take a look at what you have. Do you have bowls in your drawer? Do you have spoons? Do you have them of different sizes? Do you have 3 different size spoons, large, medium, small, right? What other objects do you have in your home that you could sort large, medium, small, right? When it comes to bowls, what kinds of bowls do you have available for stacking? You don't have blocks? That's okay. And so just working with what you have. And so I know that, like I said, educators are really good about working with what they have. And these are some really great areas to even chat with your parents or caregivers about in relates to brainstorming what other opportunities can we offer that relate to practical life experiences or sensory-based experiences that can encourage independence or develop a sense of learning within children at home or in school. Next slide, please. All right, so care of self is one of the 3 ways that practical life can be implemented. So I like to take a look at the different parts of the schedule throughout the day and identify what kinds of activities can kind of be teased from that whole schedule and encourage independence. And so when I think about my own children, and I also think about children in the classroom, I think about what kinds of little activities can children do to make them feel independent and empowered, and also help the schedule move its way along, right? Because we're all on some sort of tight schedule at some point in time in the day, and knowing that the child is capable can do it is huge. And so one of them is preparing for school. So as my child is preparing for school, I've got one child that can use the bathroom independently and one child that cannot. I have one child that can get dressed independently and one cannot. And I have 2 children that can brush their hair. And so just knowing that we're building upon the skill sets that we are developing. And so I know that my son can't dress himself fully, but I also know that once he has, both his feet through the pant legs, he is able to pull them up himself. And so allowing him to do that exact task and then recognizing it. Any kind of positive reinforcement you can provide for children who are able to do tasks independently is really important, because it lets them know that they are seen. And some children don't like that kind of attention. Some children prefer, like a thumbs up or a high five or a wink or something like that, to let them know that they have been seen. And so by knowing the children that you're working with, that the children you are working with best, and so you will know what it is that they prefer the most. So upon entering school, I know that my children have a bag that they bring, and so they set specific pieces in specific places so that they're exactly where they need to be when they are needed later in the day. And so encouraging children to do that for themselves is huge. When I was teaching, and a parent would be the one to set the child's things wherever they needed to go. That was the same child that when it was time for lunch and I would say, "Where's your lunch?" The child would say, "I don't know." And the reason why they didn't know is because they didn't see the place where their parent had placed it for them. And so just this idea of allowing the child to make that move, to place that lunchbox, where it's supposed to go, if that is possible in your environment. At mealtime and snack time, I know that mealtime and snack time might be different now than pre-pandemic, and that's okay. It's still a matter of figuring out, based on the current circumstances, what is appropriate, what is possible. And so I've only listed the things that I believe are possible based on current times. Previously, In the classroom, we would have children actually prepare their own snack. And that is not something that is being done at this time. They receive a pre-packaged snack that they are able to open independently as long as they're able. So, offering these other opportunities is also important. The washing hands, being able to set their place, whether it's setting a placemat or a plate, the plasticware or the utensils they will use, and a napkin. Those are all really important skills to have just in general in life, but it's also great when you're in a classroom environment and that opportunity is available to each child. Upon arriving home, selecting and preparing a snack. So in our home, we have a special drawer low to the ground that only has yes options. And the reason why I say that is because I know in a lot of homes, snack time is a huge power struggle. And I know for myself, anything that I can do to eliminate or reduce power struggles, I'm in. And so what we have is a snack drawer that has a variety of snacks. It might be some freeze-dried fruit. It might be some little protein bars. We have some pretzels in there. I think there's some cheese crackers or some goldfish. So there's a nice variety, maybe 3 to 5 different options. And the idea is that the child may only consume each one of those snacks up to once a day. So if the child is home all day, then the child could have up to 5 snacks, which might be a lot. And so, to each their own. My children are really good about, managing limits and not eating through the drawer in a day. And so you'll just have to guide for yourself in your own homes or in your own centers, depending upon what's appropriate. If 1 snack or 2 snacks or 3 snacks or whatever the number is in that drawer. And so the idea is if a child comes to me at home and says, I'm hungry for a snack, I would say, okay, go choose something from the drawer. And some days I don't even need to say, go choose something from the drawer. Some days it's more so like, I'm hungry. I'll choose snack. I choose a snack. My son, he leaves out some of his words sometimes. Upon arriving home, so selecting and preparing a snack. And then the last one I have here, and honestly, there are many, many more. These are just the 5 that I chose to focus on. At bedtime, brushing teeth, choosing pajamas, selecting stories, each one of those activities, that is power. And that is promoting independence. And so the idea that I can open the toothpaste, I can turn on the water, I can put the toothpaste on the bristles, I know how to brush my teeth, I know how to rinse the toothbrush, I know how to even put, spit into the sink. I know how to do all those things. I even know how to get a small cup of water and rinse out my mouth. And so just working your way through each one of those parts of the process. And that's the truth, is it's all part of a process. And so the idea is that if you can start with one part and then build on that, that's huge. And so maybe my son can't do all of the components of brushing his teeth, but he's really great at actually putting the brush in his mouth. And maybe he takes a turn and then I take a turn. And I usually offer, would you like to take a turn first? And then mama gets a turn? And sometimes I don't even phrase it as a question because I don't want him to say no. And so what I say is, all right, Ari's turn, then mama's turn. And then I wait for my turn. And then choosing pajamas is a fun one, and selecting stories as well. Next slide, please. All right, care of environment. So with the care of environment, again, I'm focusing on 5 different areas. And I have done it based upon schedule because I thought that would make the most sense based upon all of the different environments that we're working in. And so preparing for school. So you have clean up after breakfast, tidy a spill. So, when my children are done with their breakfast, they take their bowls to the counter. If there are leftovers, then they get little containers and they put those leftovers in a bowl. Now, my older child, my 5-year-old, might be able to close that container herself. My younger child cannot. And so he usually brings me the container and it's open, and I usually am the one to find the lid. And so just knowing, what the needs of the children are and how we can meet those needs just based on what is happening each day. And it's possible that, tomorrow he might bring me a lid and try to put it on, or he might ask for help, or I could show him how to do it. And so using each of these experiences as learning opportunities is really valuable. And then upon entering school, and this is true, not just upon entering school, but anytime a door opens or closes, and just the idea of how do we open a door quietly? How do we close a door quietly? What does it look like? You know, what does the handle have to do? What does our hand have to do? And how does that work? Those are all parts of caring for our environment. At mealtime and snack time, in our home and even in my classroom, we had a very small brush. It was almost like a crummer. And it was a tiny dustpan and a tiny brush. And so the children would sweep up their crumbs when they were done eating in an effort to get the space ready for the next child. And then at home, it's of course to get the space ready for the next meal or the next activity. Putting garbage in a trash can might seem silly, but it's important to know what goes in the garbage, what doesn't go in the garbage. Where does the garbage bag go when it's full? And understanding that not everything goes in the trash. My son for a while thought that it was funny actually to press the lever. You have like a foot pedal and the top opens and he would put whatever he could get his hands on in there. And so we had to show him, you know, we had to do a little bit of sorting, you know, like this is a dirty wipe, it's garbage. This is a toy, it's for playing with. It is not garbage. So, you know, going through with just different practical life experiences and creating that moment for him to begin to understand that not everything goes in the trash. And so now he says, Mama, look, trash. And I say, yes, this is garbage. This is trash. And so helping him to continue to identify, do that classification for what belongs in the garbage and what does not. And when he does put his garbage in the trash, instead of, let's say, throwing it on the floor, I will tell him, I like the way that you put your dirty wipe in the garbage, or I like the way that you put that empty food package in the garbage, and letting him know what I'm seeing, just sharing the observations. Upon arriving home, as I had mentioned earlier on, just knowing that everything has a place and where it goes. I find in the classroom and at home that when everything is just thrown on the floor or not well cared for, it does create a sense of chaos. Tell me if that has ever been a situation for you where you're like, oh my gosh, if things were just a little tidier around here, I would feel calmer, my students would feel calmer, my classroom would feel calmer, or maybe my home. And so that's a huge one for us. I would say like that's probably one of my favorite ones, is knowing that when we come home, everything has its place. And then at bedtime, so dirty clothes and laundry baskets. So dirty clothes don't just get thrown on the floor. They don't just get left in the bathroom. They don't just get left in the hallway. We're not tucking dirty socks anywhere we want. Everyone has a basket in their room and the clothes go in that basket. And so the child is responsible for being the one to take those clothes to the basket, unless of course, you know, they're soiled in some sort of way and they need to be, you know, bagged and tucked away to be washed. And then, of course, you know, cleaning toothpaste. This is one about my daughter. I will tell you, she's really great about all the steps of brushing her teeth. But when it comes to cleaning the toothpaste from the sink, we're still working on it. But showing her how to fix that, right? So, oh, I noticed you did a great job of brushing your teeth. I also see there's a little bit of toothpaste left in the sink. Let me get a wipe for you. And then showing her how to use the wipe and clean up the extra toothpaste, or showing her how to get a little bit of water with her hand to rinse out the sink better. And then turn off lights. So we've actually installed some special handles in the kids' rooms so that because they're not tall enough to reach the actual light switch, there's an extender that we purchased. And that has been fabulous because then they can feel like they can confidently enter a room and not be in the dark and be able to turn the lights on themselves. Next slide, please. Care of environment. This is huge. I mean, they all are huge, really, but care of environment, preparing for school. So I feel like to be able to show care for others isn't just a simple thing, right? You can't show care for others if you don't have empathy, or you don't understand the steps to complete a task, or you don't know the rules of an environment. And so in the Montessori world, we would say like, you know, you really see children caring for others when they're well settled in the space, or they feel very connected with the environment and the materials and the teachers and the other children in the space, or you really see care of others in that third year child, that child that's getting ready to graduate, that has been in this space for a while and knows it well and is empowered and competent, capable of doing things for other people. And so when you look at this list, it is quite possible that there will be children in your programs that are not able to do these things, and that's okay. I feel like when it comes to care of others, this is an area, it's all about really developing the ability to care for yourself, and the ability to care for your environment first before you can truly do this piece about caring for others. So when it comes to preparing for school, sometimes my daughter really likes to help my son choose his clothes, and sometimes she doesn't, and that's okay. But recognizing those days when she is being helpful, thank you so much for helping your brother, the way these two go together. And then packing their bag. So each child has specific things that need to go in their bag every day so that they're ready. This year, the children are required to bring their own water bottles. They're required to bring their own change of mask in a sealed bag, in addition to a special lunchbox that can be fully wiped. And so the idea that the bag has to be packed with these components, or it's going to be a rough day. And so we do our best job to make sure that each bag has all of its components. And so upon entering school, the next point, holding the door open for someone else, helping someone unzip their coat or even find their classroom. So I know, and I'm sure most of you have experienced this, when you're trying to get the zipper and the guide to cooperate and it's just not working. And then, the child needs your help or another child's help. And so just those, little instances are great for children who are learning to lead, learning to help others. Setting a place for a friend. I'm not sure if this is really possible in most centers right now, most schools right now, but in our home, we do offer the option of setting a place for a friend or a sibling. Upon arriving home, making room for a sibling's shoes and coat, making sure that there is enough space to do the activities that you've set out for the children to do, obviously is important in this particular situation. And assisting unpacking their school bag. So all those things that go to school, when they come home, they each have a place to go. The dirty mask has a linen bag, like a laundry bag that it goes to. The lunchbox goes straight to the sink. The water bottle goes straight to the sink, and the bag is hung up and it is empty. And so just the idea that I know where my things go, let me help you find the place where your things go. And so part of this piece about caring for others is really about how to approach another person, right? Because if you say, I'll take that, right? It's very different than saying, I can help you put that away, or do you need help putting that away? And so one of the things as a teacher and as a parent, I've spent a lot of time working on is how can you say that in a nicer tone? How can we say that to make the other person feel okay? So that we're not giving people these sharp messages, we're giving people well thought, kind, and conscientious messages. And the last one that I have on here is at bedtime, like I had mentioned previously, finding the laundry basket, making room for another person to brush their teeth, and helping another child find a special story. Obviously, some relevant only at home. Next slide, please. All right, offering choices. This is my favorite. The power of choice. Now, I will tell you, children are more likely to cooperate if they are given some sort of power. And here's the thing, it doesn't have to be big. It can be a small piece of power that you are willing to give up. And to that child, it feels like everything. And that's amazing. As teachers and people that connect with young children, to be able to have that kind of impact on a child is huge. And we have the chance to do that every day. So here's the thing. If you're going to relinquish some of your power, you have to think about it this way. You're only going to provide choices, one, that are possible and accessible options. Two, that you approve regardless of which of the two options are chosen. and 3, where you feel comfortable giving up that power. So here's the thing. If I am helping a child choose, I don't know, I'm helping a child find some colored pencils at school. If I know that I only have primary colored pencils, red, yellow, blue, I am not going to offer green as an option. And I'm not going to offer purple or any other color either. I'm only going to offer those 3, red, yellow, or blue. And so just knowing that you're offering something that is possible, right? Because you don't want to be in a situation where you've offered power and then you have to say no, because you want it to be this positive experience, this empowering experience, so that the child feels great about themselves and they want to have more opportunities for power or more opportunities for choice in the future. And then, of course, this is my favorite part, which is you're only going to provide 2 options where you don't really have a stake in the game. You actually don't care which of the 2 choices the child selects, as long as they choose one, right? So you can wear these socks or those socks. And in my mind, it doesn't matter. As long as you choose a pair of socks, that's what's important. And so putting yourself in a situation where it is a win-win, it's just a win all around. And then, of course, where you feel comfortable giving up power. So, for example, if you don't want the children at circle time to be the ones to choose the songs you sing at circle time, don't give a child that power. Keep that power for yourself. And if you wanted to ask, should we play a game or sing a song, right? Then what you're doing is you're offering 2 things that you're fine with doing. And maybe the child says, I want to sing a song first. Great, you're going to sing a song first, but you as the adult get to choose what song that is, because you probably have something in mind that you've perhaps planned. And then second, you could say, okay, so we did our song and now we're going to do our game. And so the child has chosen the order that the activities will go, but you as the adult choose the actual activities that will happen. And so you are giving up a touch of power, but you're still keeping the ultimate power. And then here are some examples down below that you can read for yourself. Some obviously that might be perfect for in the classroom, and others that might be better for home. Next slide, please. All right, so the question is, why? Why offer power? And we've discussed some of these already, but we can go back through a little bit. So reduce power struggles. So here's the thing. If the child feels like life is happening with them instead of to them, they're more likely to cooperate, because they feel like they are on the same team as you. It's not them versus you. It's all of us together, right? We are all getting ready to go outside. We all need to put our coats on. Are you going to flip your coat, or do you need help putting it on, right? So the child is being given the power, right? How are you going to put the coat on? But you get to decide what are the 2 choices. The child knows the coat is going to be going on your body. It's just a matter of how it gets there, right? Whether I help you or you do it yourself. It will increase compliance. So if children feel like my voice was heard, I matter, you see me, then compliance will go up. And then, of course, it's going to promote competence. Children that feel good about what they can do are able to do more. So if you think about that, a child that feels like they are capable, that they know the steps to do the task, whatever the task is, they can grow upon that. So it's almost like that idea that goodness breeds goodness. And then the last one here is support opportunities for the child to lead and follow. So obviously, many children in the space, it doesn't matter whether it's 2, 5, 10, or 30, many children in the space. And over the course of time, children need different experiences to lead and to follow. And so, for example, I know that my son is not good at leading. He's just not. He's 2.5 and he's a rambunctious little guy, and he is not good at leading, but he loves the idea of leading. My daughter, on the other hand, is fabulous at leading, and she's terrible at following. And so how do you make it so the child that's great at leading doesn't always get the chance to lead. And the child that's great at following doesn't always get the chance to follow. And so what we do is we feed their strengths, right? So in the building where we live, there's an elevator. And so I will sometimes ask my son, who presses the arrow button? Who presses the number button, right? Because there's a button on the outside and a button on the inside, and allow him to choose from the two limited choices and allow him the opportunity to lead. So even though he's not truly leading, because if he were truly leading, he might say, can I push the arrow button and can you press the number button on the inside? He's not doing that, which is totally fine, developmentally appropriate. But the idea that I am kind of creating that scaffolding for him so that he understands what is possible. And so now he's starting to say, can I press the arrow button? Or I want to press the number button. And so then I would say, talk to your sister. And so this idea that they have to then communicate with each other in a constructive way to solve this little problem so that they can lead and follow. Next slide, please. All right, now, questions to consider. What is possible in your space? Not everything will be possible in your space. And you surely cannot change everything at the same time. And I definitely wouldn't. Don't change everything at the same time. But what you can do is create a list. Create a list of the things that are possible in your space, and then identify in what order, whatever ranking system you decide to use, in what order can I implement these? Can I do one this week? Can I do one next week? Oh, we're already doing, this particular activity, but I can just kind of tweak it this one way and it'll be even better, right? So just thinking about what components do you need to update or change? And I am certain that all of us have experienced a tremendous amount of change in the last year. And so this idea of having to be creative, having to think out of the box, and then also considering, are we also promoting opportunities for independence and opportunities for power and choice? And how does that look when it's infused into the day? And the last one is, can the child or children be part of the process? So if you're going to make a change to the child's space, can they be involved? So for example, in our home, we had 2 small step stools. And when the children came in from the outside world, they would each sit down on their own step stool. And they would sit there to take off their mask, take off their coat, take off their shoes. It was a cute little setup. But here's the thing. They started fighting over who sits where. No, I want this color bench and I want that color bench. They weren't exactly the same. And so it created this unhealthy power struggle. And so what I said to them was, I notice that when we come into the house, the 2 of you are fighting. And that makes me feel so sad, because when I come into the house, I want to feel happy because we are home. What can we do to change this space so that it's better for everyone? Because I don't want to hear you shout. And I know your sister doesn't want to hear you shout. And I know your brother doesn't want to hear you shout. So what should we do? And so what we actually did is we removed the step stools and we put them somewhere else in our home. And as much as I didn't want that to be the thing that happened, it was the absolute right thing to happen. One, because it's the agreement that the 3 of us, my 2 kids and I, came to together. And the alternative was, we need more space. And I said, okay. So we found a rug, like an old bath mat, basically. And we set it on the floor, and it is larger. And now there's space for everyone to sit on their bottoms. It doesn't matter where they sit because it's one rug and it's all the same. And so they sit there and they can take off all their things from the outside world in that space instead. So just thinking about how do we want them to be part of the process, right? If I was really set on those step stools staying in the exact same spot, I wouldn't have even brought up the idea of removing them. I wouldn't have even suggested it. I might have said, do we need to move them so they're separate? Do we need to create our own covers for them so they look the same? I would have come up with other ideas that would be in line with 2 choices that are acceptable, appropriate, and accessible. All right, next slide, please. All right, thank you so much.
Stacey, this was fantastic. Just so you know, throughout your whole presentation, folks have been like giving out ideas and going along with the conversation as you've been talking of things they're doing, as well as things like great comments about some of your tips, your tricks, your techniques that have been coming through. I won't lie, I've definitely been there with the wanting to not brush their teeth, and you're really wanting them to brush their teeth. That moment of what can I do? And you're trying to figure it out and you're in the moment and it's like, okay, you got to just,
Yep.
it can be such a struggle, but some fantastic content. Couple of questions. Let's dive in here.
Sure.
Of course, COVID is at the top of all of this. It never has gone away in the last couple of, months, weeks, years, wherever we are at this point. Maybe in our day-to-day lives right now, what are maybe your top suggestions for parents and educators just all around? I know you've talked a couple about your masks ones with your children, but for ways to help them grow in their independence generally over the COVID regulations. I know they show so much resilience against all of this, and they applied the change, I think, like that. And whereas we were like, no, I don't like it, but maybe any top suggestions that are COVID related for wherever you think, whether it's at home that you found things have worked for you or in the classroom that you've maybe given some tips out for.
Yeah. I would say the number one is having open conversations. So I was sharing shortly before the seminar that I was able to, by some grace of God, get the vaccine yesterday, the first inoculation. And I told my daughter, and she was elated. I mean, she was so brightened about it. She's like, "Oh, mama, that's so great." And she was so excited. And I hadn't given her like a lot of context. Like, she knows about the virus, she knows about the vaccines, she knows that her teachers have been, rotating through to get vaccinated and taken time off to rest and everything. But just knowing that she has this understanding because of conversations that have taken place, whether it's at home or at school, is really important. And so even yesterday, she was like, "Mama, which hand should I hold? Does your arm hurt?" And so I said, "Oh, actually, my arm is fine. It's just sore in that one little spot." And she's like, "Okay, well, I'll still be gentle with you." And so just this idea that children are able to understand a lot. And it's really a matter of how we present the information to them that helps them to understand the world around them. And so there's a lot of tough stuff in the world right now. And I've written a number of articles actually about current events and ways to discuss topics with our kids on my website. So I hope if people are curious to know how to approach topics like, death and dying and the virus and, racism and all these other things that are happening that are so big and so hard right now, that information is on my site. And I do my best to reach out to specialists in the field and interview them to bring in their perspective as well. So it's not just my perspective solely. There are other perspectives in there to give a more well-rounded picture of things. So I hope that helps. So definitely conversations. So that's number one. And then the second thing is recognizing what is the same. This is huge. This is huge because so much has changed. And so if we can, I always have a paper in front of me. If we can write down what is the same, then we can not only see it, but we can hear it and we can recognize it. And then the other thing that we did at home is we created a list of all of the things we want to do when the virus is in better control. Because here's the thing, whether we're talking about it or not, we are all struggling on some level with the routines, the things that we love that we've had to abandon one way or another. Like, one of my most favorite things to do was to sit and do work in one particular coffee shop. I would sit there for like 2 hours and just type away, and it was glorious. And I haven't sat in a coffee shop for 13 months. And so figuring out how to put all of those things that we love in one place. Maybe it's, going to the beach. Maybe it's eating at a restaurant. Maybe it's seeing the grandparents. Maybe it's, having fun with friends on a play date, at my house. It could be anything. And so just allowing those thoughts, those feelings, those wishes, those dreams to live somewhere is so important right now. And the third thing, and I would say this is more for like the adult mind
Mhm.
is, what are your non-negotiables? What do you need? What brings you joy? Because as everything is changing and evolving around you, and you are giving so much to all of these kids in your care, you also have to think about, how are you fueling yourself? How are you feeding yourself? And not just like literally feeding yourself, but like
Yeah.
figuratively, like what are you giving yourself? And, there's a lot of talk about, oh, well, do you practice self-care? Well, what is self-care, right? Is self-care a good night's sleep? Is self-care going on a walk on my lunch break? Is self-care a good cup of coffee? What is self-care for you? And it has to be a no judgment zone, right? Because, for some people who are home and they have, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 kids of their own, self-care might just be 5 minutes of quiet in the backyard. That
Mhm.
might be self-care, and that's okay. But figuring out for you as an educator, as a parent, what is self-care? What does joy look like? And what are your non-negotiables? One of my non-negotiables is I will drink coffee every day. No matter what, I will find my way to coffee, whether it's from the machine in my place or my next door neighbor's machine, it doesn't matter. I will find my way to coffee. So just figuring out, what your non-negotiables are, so that even though we are living in this altered society right now, we can still hold true to some of the things that are really important to us and our kids.
I love that. I love everything about that, Stacey. And just like you said, having a place where it can live, it means so much. And it generally, when it has somewhere to live, it actually becomes a real thing after that. So it's nice to have that forward thinking as well. I'm going to change gears, and as well, just watching on time here, we've had one question come in from Tom. Any suggestions on adjusting for children with different disabilities?
Yes. So you really have to think about, what is the child able to do? What does the child like to do? And what kinds of things are you working on with the child? What are you working towards, right? So there would be children in my classroom who spoke no English. There would be children in my classroom who were in some way selectively mute. And so knowing where that child is, where they are in their thinking and their abilities and their skills, and really just honing in on that, right? Because the idea, for example, in a Montessori environment is to meet children where they are, right? So you do want to sometimes challenge a child. And by challenge them, I mean, give them an opportunity to try something new or different. But you really want the experience to be rooted in what they already know, what they've already had experience in, what they've already mastered, right? So you can't practice hopping on one foot if you're still learning to walk, right? So you have to figure out, what is it that the child is able to do, and build on that. I know there would be children in the classroom that maybe wouldn't be connecting to certain academic kinds of work.
Mhm.
And so what I would do is I would spend time, I'd say, let's make a book of all the things you love. And we would take turns maybe drawing pictures and writing words and creating this little booklet of the things they love. And for one of the boys, it was trains. And so what I did the next day is I brought in parts of a train work with these like little toys, basically, where the child could link them together, but then he could also match them. And so I'd say, okay, I spy with my little eye something that starts with the sound k. It goes at the end of the train. Caboose. I say, yeah, caboose. Caboose starts with the sound k. You found it, right? And so just figuring out how to reach every child, but knowing that the ways in which you reach the children won't be the same, whether they have a learning disability or not, because every child is unique. And so just keeping that in mind.
That is so true. It's every child's unique. We all learn, even as adults, we all learn our own ways, our own formats. Maybe as adults we're a little bit more stuck in the ground, but for them, it doesn't matter what disabilities or not. We all are at our own pace. Stacey, it's been an absolute joy and pleasure having you on. Any happy thoughts you want to leave us with today? Words of advice before we move on over to Facebook?
I would say blessings to each and every one of you for the work that you do. I know, as a former educator and now parent, I am beyond grateful for the work that all of the teachers everywhere are doing. Please know you are making a difference for every child that you are working with every day, not just not just pandemic, but pre-pandemic as well. And so cheers to all of you. And thank you so much for joining me.
Stacey, thank you so much. Folks, if you had any additional questions, please pop over on our Facebook page. Stacey's going to be there to answer them up. Maybe we can definitely continue the conversation there for a couple of minutes. Let's jump into wrap up though. We're not going to be posting out the certificate here today, folks. It's going to be coming in the show notes next week to you. So please, please, please just keep your eyes out for the show notes email. You can also find everything on our blog, and we'll have all the connections there, everything to get hooked up with Stacey, her connections there, it will all be sent out to you. So please just keep your eyes on the show notes blog post page that Kaya has been posting, as well as keep an eye out for our show notes email that will be coming next week. All right, folks, if you haven't heard about us, I got to plug a little bit here, folks. If you've never heard about us, I would love, love, love for you guys to check us out, get a better idea of what Hi Mama does, how we can impact your center, whether you be a home daycare center or you be a large facility, it does not matter. We do a variety of different things with the Hi Mama app. So if you'd love to take a little tour with us, we connect you up with one of the folks here on our end and they chat with you and make sure it's a good fit. So I'd love to see if anybody does, please go through and check us out. Tell them I sent you or tell them Kaya sent you. All right. So we will be getting the email to you next week with the show notes, just as a reminder, as well as registration. Just keep an eye out for those guys there. If you do join the Hi Mama family, just know there's a fantastic crew of people here, not only from our Facebook page, but we have activities, we have tons of articles about what's happening in the space, podcasts, and the fantastic support team that we have. This is Julie. She's actually on our support team, folks. She thought it'd be funny to be here. But at the end of the day, know that we've got you and we are a B certified company and we've got your back. Next week, folks, we're talking about strategies for focus and development. I'm excited. We have so many great things. And as well, Stacey's going to be joining us back in a couple of weeks. So if you enjoyed today, please do join us up for her next session. It will be coming soon. But next week, same time, same location, just Thursday, April 8th at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Once again, show notes will be coming out next week with your certificate as well. Keep an eye on our blog post page for upcoming webinars too. You'll find it there. All right. Don't forget, connect up with us, whether you're checking out our podcasts, if you're on our Instagram or on our Facebook page, please do check us out wherever you are. We're there. So don't be shy to check us out and as well become a part of our Facebook group page, our Circle Time page. Thank you for spending the time with us today, folks. So we were a tad bit over today, but I don't mind. Happy Easter for those who are celebrating, this weekend. Get out there, stay safe. Kaya, did I miss anything? Always got to make sure.
No, you're good. That was a great session. A lot of people had a lot of great feedback about things they do at home or in their classroom. It was really amazing to hear all the great ideas. So take all these amazing ideas and let's continue the conversation on Facebook. I'm sure our community would love to hear it.
Totally agree. Everyone, please stay healthy, happy, safe over this long Easter weekend. Enjoy. Kaya and I will see you next Thursday. And as well, we'll see you on Facebook after this. Take care, everyone.